So just stay away unless Ariel. Oh, you are Ariel. Just get out. You're there. You're totally inappropriate. Well, I don't want to delete it. I get watch time for people watching live streams. That's how you get lots of watch time. Yeah, don't come out here without clothes on. You were. I saw you in it. It doesn't matter. It's delayed. It's like seconds delayed or something. I'm working all day. I have to finish making my boa video. What? Yeah. I hope you have a wonderful day at work. I wonder if my concurrent viewer is you. I wonder if it's just because we're online, we're our own viewer. Or is there someone actually watching this that can say hello? No, I can't see who's watching. It just says concurrent viewer. 1. And I got a like 2. Oh no, I just picked my nose on stream. Oh, I'm gonna be the infamous nose picker. And it's harder to be entertaining when the wife is nearby, because it's like I know in the back of my head she's listening to me, judging, criticizing. I'll just pick my nose and drink my coffee. Oh, it's terrible. It's just like I'm not picking my nose all the time, but it just gets itchy when you're not supposed to scratch it. Everyone's still sleeping. We're in Canada right now, and it is snowing. Like a blizzard outside. And one lady wanted me to come in to do her highlights today. And she didn't, like... She's kind of dipping her feet in the water, like, how much is it going to cost? Are you going to put Olaplex in it? Na 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 na. Yeah, she can ask all she wants, but it was just like she didn't want to swim. She just wanted to dip her feet in. So I just like, I'm not going to work today. I'm gonna relax and enjoy the beautiful day inside. I don't know what you're talking about. I work very hard. Work smart. You gotta work smart. Lonely, I'm so lonely. I have nobody but myself. Just because there's snow doesn't mean it's that cold. It might be very nice. Yeah, it might be very nice. Do we have clothes on now? Oh. Mama is a hoochie hoochie. Mama's a hoocher poocher. What? Sorry, no one could.
Always naked. You like me to play it any louder?
One more time, please. I don't like wearing clothes. You get. Oh. I thought you don't do that till December.
Well, it's bloody blizzard, so we're
No, you got your cute little winter coat.
not winter. It's fall cold. Men.
Oh, very good. Properly attired. How about thank you, hubby, for making my coffee just the way I like it.
Thank you.
All you do is criticize, criticize, criticize. So come over here.
I have to
Okay,
go.
look at the mouse. Just look at the mouse. See this? Ariel! Every time she sits down, she has to sit on things. She doesn't pay attention. She opens the fridge. Things fall out. What a mess,
I'm
mess,
not
mess.
even in the video.
No, look here. See this area? See these doors?
Uh-huh.
You walked here.
Oh.
So everyone saw you
Nobody saw me.
in your nakedness.
There's no viewers.
See, it's delayed, so it doesn't show right away.
Look at this beat today, people. What? Oh, who is she?
They don't even know what that
Yes,
means.
Vogue.
Explain it.
I'm a makeup artist, Avi.
Yeah, look at this beat today.
Yes.
These are men mostly.
Okay, your daily beat is your makeup.
There.
And your girl says she's gonna beat your face. Or no. Your face. Her face or somebody else's face?
They're not gonna see it.
That means she's doing her face. Oh, I have to venture out into this barren wasteland. Oh my god, I'm actually so unhappy.
When two crazy people live together,
Oh my gosh.
it's a very special thing.
We made a very special thing.
And add a child to the mix. Woohoo! Yeah, it is awesome.
The question is, do I fit with it? Oh! Oh! Oh!
Oh, hello, second person. Welcome.
This is what happens when you gain a year of weight.
Very form-fitting, my love.
I know. Doesn't even fit me.
Well,
I'll have to sell it and buy another.
No.
Yes.
No. I don't believe.
Matthew has this dream.
No.
Okay, this dream. He doesn't embrace reality.
Okay, so everyone, I'm supposed to be a size 32.
Whatever.
And I've bought a few pairs of 34. Just like one or two, but I refuse to get rid of the 32s. Because I know I'm going to be a 32 again.
Ah!
I do!
In what world?
It's going to happen by May.
Okay there, buddy.
By May,
Better get working on
by
it.
the middle of May, I'm going to be a
Get
size
working.
32.
Get working.
And it's going to be good.
Oh my god, you're so
I'm going to make myself great again. See, people are watching it. They're going to see you booting around.
What are you booting around?
Prancing around in your underwear while I'm trying to have a professional stream with people that are watching it that aren't watching it. Oh, make it fit again. should I talk about? I will. No, I'm gonna wait for the wife to leave, and then we'll have a deep, meaningful conversation. No, it's just when you're around, it makes me nervous. It does. You intimidate me. Oh, it's okay. I get to see my favorite person. Me. Ariel always says that I'm obsessed. I'm obsessed with myself because I just am always watching myself. But on the contrary, I have to edit all my videos, and guess who's in them? Just go. The bus will be there. Excuse me.
Nine minutes in the cold.
Don't worry, it'll take you 5 minutes to get there. The average watch time is 5 minutes. There's playbacks, but people aren't actually staying or talking or engaging. I'm supposed to engage. I'm supposed to be engaging with no one watching. It's like, hi everyone, welcome. Today I want to talk to you about snakes. They're cool, they're quiet, they're clean, you should get one. And free neck massages. Goodbye, dearest. You'll be missed. Love you so much. Please take care of yourself out in this blizzard. Don't slip and fall or anything. Toodaloo. Okay. Freedom! Okay, so... let's talk about my journey into YouTube. Because it's so successful. So wonderful. Oh, no. I was just gonna get my neck massage and chill for a bit. There's 2 people. Hello, 2 people. 1 person. 2 person. 1 person. 4 playbacks. Am I not, like, able to see people talking to me? Is there a chat that people can actually say something? Or am I just ignoring it? Or no one's talking to me? Oh, this is very humiliating. Very... Yes, modifying, modestify. Makes me feel very modest. Woe is me, no one talks. Yeah. Hello. Welcome. I'm sorry that I'm not very good at this. It's going to be the worst stream ever. I hope you're all enjoying my awkwardness. Okay, so doing YouTube is very strange. You think it's gonna be easy, and it's definitely fun, but it's definitely also terrifying, because terrifying and awkward. There's so much awkwardness into trying to make YouTube videos, because like now, oh, we're live, people can see how exciting, and it's like, if people are watching you, it's like, okay, what do I do? And I can't sing and dance, or I'll try, but it won't be good, and it makes you kind of feel stupid, but that might just be your innerness reflecting. I don't know. So you're making videos and you're talking to a camera, and most of the time you're by yourself. So it feels very strange, because it's like I'm supposed to be talking to a whole pile of people, but I'm all by myself talking to a camera, and it takes a long time to get comfortable and used to that. Like, my camera's name is Johnny, so I gave my camera a name so that it could be more like, hey, you're a person that I'm talking to, because it's not a person, and I'm just talking to myself all the time every time I'm making a video. So, and you have to be, you don't want to be fake, but it's just, you also want to have a little bit of enthusiasm. This is just like, hi everyone, this is Luna, she's my moon glow, I don't know what to say, I'm boring, so you're not going to watch me. So that's the biggest problem. So it's like, you have to entertain, you have to put on a show, and it takes about a year. It took about a year of making videos every week before I even felt comfortable making videos. I'm not really a shy person, but I'm an awkward person. It's just like, most people are not comfortable singing in public, or hearing their own voice. It makes them feel icky. And that's what it feels like every time you're making a video. So it's like, you have to get past that and be like, hey, guess what? I'm very excited to show you all my snake babies, or check out these eggs. Fresh eggs from the snake. So exciting. Now watch me put them in the incubator. Isn't this great? And hope that you feel the excitement that I do. But then when you do it so many times, it isn't really as exciting. It's still cool when you're able to accomplish something new, then it's more exciting. But doing kind of the same thing over and over again, you don't feel that joy that people kind of portray. Just like feeding, when you feed an animal. So you feed a snake, and you're like, people think, oh, I want to have a snake, and it's so exciting to feed the snake, to watch it eat a rat. And if you have a pile of snakes and you've watched them eat, sometimes they take a few minutes and it's not very exciting at all. And then you have 100 snakes that you have to feed, and when it's feeding day, it's like, oh, this is going to take a while. And then trying to keep that all in order, like, okay, I have to pull out 8 medium rats and 15 large rats and these small ones, and some of them are growing. Should I give them a bigger rat? Should I give them a smaller rat? And it gets tedious sometimes. Not to say I love having all the animals and taking care of them, but it does sometimes get to be a little bit much. Coffee time. New thoughts. Okay, then editing. Editing videos takes a long time. So it takes you about an hour to edit 10 minutes of content. To make 10 minutes of content, so like you shoot for, like, let's say 15 minutes, so that you can cut it down to 8 to 12 minutes. That's kind of what I try to aim for. And it takes a whole hour to, like, cut out all the extra stuff, but, like, you try to cut those out, and then zoom in and crop and try and, like, make it keep people's attention, because no one can watch more than a minute or two. And then add music, so then you gotta find the music for it. And there's all these companies selling you music like audio and Epidemic Sound is one of the most popular ones, and then everyone's promoting them. And really, I find it like I try not to waste money on anything I don't have to. So it's like I don't pay for Spotify. I don't pay for a lot of those things. So my Spotify is full of commercials. And the commercials on Spotify, they make them louder, which is really annoying. But I grew up in the days of the radio. Like, if you remember listening to the radio, there's commercials all the time. So I just look at Spotify like the radio and just deal with the commercial. But to find music, so if you're trying to find music for your videos, there's so much free music. There's the audio library from YouTube. There's no copyright sounds. You just put in copyright free music, you can find a pile of people putting together music every week almost, new songs. So what I'll do is I'll subscribe to a whole pile of different YouTube channels that are providing copyright free music. So every week I have like new songs to choose from, and I'll put them in a little playlist for me called Free. And then as I'm making a video, I'll go through that playlist and pick out a video that I think will work and then use it. So I have like unlimited copyright free music, which makes me happy. But if you do end up with enough people following you, then you can use something like Epidemic Sound, and then you can tell everyone, hey everyone, I use Epidemic Sound, you should too. And then they start using it, and then you get money from them so that your Epidemic Sound is free, and that's how that works. So there is a lot of stuff that you can get for free if you're willing to promote it. YouTube is also very interesting because if you just post videos on YouTube, they tend to not do as well as if you do all the background work. So in the background you have to put in keywords, you have to, like, every video with a Boa Constrictor has to have Boa Constrictor in the title so that I can try and rank for the term Boa Constrictor. And if you don't do that, then it makes your content not searchable, and then you don't get views. If you pay for advertising, so like let's say you use Google Ads and you pay to get people to watch your videos, you get way more impressions. So it's shown to a pile of people, but it ends up hurting all your statistics because it gets shown to way more people, but they watch it way less. So you're much better off just kind of slowly growing organically. Luna's getting excited. And the coffee is finally starting to kick in. Matthew, raw and uncut. How wonderful and exciting. We got playbacks. Now, the two people watching, is there anything you'd like to say or ask or anything? I'm happy to engage in conversation. It'd be especially better if it's not with myself. What are you doing? Do you have to make a poo-poo? Oh, I don't think you have a poo-poo in there. Okay, well, it says I have no one watching, and then up there it says I have 2 people watching. I don't think my chat... 2 people watching. Yep, 2 people watching. You know. Oh, what is the biggest snake species legal to own in Ontario? Very nice. Okay. So, in Ontario, we're supposed to stay under 3 meters? Under 10 feet. But there are certain things, like, for instance, Superdwarf Reticulated Pythons, which can stay under 10 feet, so technically they should be legal to own, but because they're grouped with Reticulated Pythons, which are not really legal, they kind of are not really supposed to be. I think that the biggest snake species legal to own in Ontario would most likely be boas, because boas don't usually get over 10 meters, and I also believe that if you keep an illegal species that stays under 10 feet, it's not really allowed. So like dwarf Burmese pythons and super dwarf reticulated pythons, so even if they stay under 10 feet, they're technically not legal. But if you keep a species like a boa and it goes past 10 feet, no one's going to bother you about it because it is a legal species. So it is kind of strange that way. But the other thing is, if you had a snake that was big and animal control or whatever knew about it and they came, depending on who you'd have, like if you're taking let's say you found a reticulated python that wasn't being treated properly, and you took it and gave it a good home and were taking care of it and weren't bothering anyone at all, like you definitely shouldn't be taking it outside. But if you had it in your home and you're taking good care of it and they come and they see it, lots of times the shelters and stuff, they don't want to take these big animals that shouldn't be here. So if they see you're giving it a good home and not causing any problems and no one's complaining, so they should never really find out about it anyways. But sometimes they'll let people keep things because they don't want to take it themselves, or they might just take it and euthanize it, which is terrible. But like carpet pythons are also legal, and carpet pythons can get pretty big as well. Well, boas are my favorite for pets, just because, as you can see, like they're very docile, and even when they do get big, they don't really change. They're never, I never find them to be very, like they eat well, but they're not crazy food driven the way retics are. With retics, they want to eat all the time, so when you open up their home, sometimes they come flying out at you. Even if they're nice animals, they just have that strong feeding response. Boas eat very well, but when you open their door, they're not like, holy cow, there's food. They're very, very calm. So when this snake ends up being, let's say, 8 feet, she's going to be like an 8-foot sweetheart. And that'll take her like probably like 6 to 7 years. Which pythons have you not heard about? And are you in Ontario? Carpet pythons. Yeah, carpet pythons. You can look up a guy. He goes by Operation Python, and he probably produces the most carpet pythons in Ontario. He has some really cool stuff. There's these ones called, there's Xanthic and Granite. And if you have an Xanthic Granite, those are probably my favorite carpet pythons. They're really cool animals. They're also, I had one that I tried to work with a lot. I named her Gaga, and she would just, yeah, she would just bite. She was very nippy. She got me quite a few times. And they can be sweet. Basically, any snake, if you work with enough, can be sweet. But there's certain species that are a little bit harder to tame down. And carpet pythons start off quite nippy. But same thing with, like, rat snakes. So I'd say the two most popular snakes in our industry are ball pythons and corn snakes. But ball pythons, most of the time, are just kind of terrified, so they don't really do anything. And then corn snakes, I find rat snakes to be a lot prettier. And rat snakes are also like a subtype of corn snake. Yeah, so it's kind of like a thing where all rat snakes are corn snakes, but not all corn snakes are rat snakes. So rat snakes I like a lot more. I find them kind of prettier, a little bit thicker, but they're not as popular, and they don't come out as tame. So rat snakes start off a lot more fearful, and then as they get older they can become more tame. But because you have to put in a lot of work with them right in the beginning, people don't really keep them as much, even though I'd take a rat snake over a corn snake any day. Do you keep some reptiles? Mr. Iowa. How long have you had that? Oh, nice. Okay, so we've met. I'm trying to I can't, well, I'm trying to creep you so I can figure out who you are, because I don't remember. I've had these experiences with many people. Mr. Iowa. Is that your last name, or Mr. Should I spell? Okay. I wasn't sure. I was thinking of, like, what's that movie? You got me thinking of, like, Avatar. Iowa or something. Mr. Iowa. Okay. Video games are showing up. I will find you. Oh, guess what? I can't even... Okay, is that your YouTube name then? Nathan Glass. You have, like, some nickname in the chat? Nathan. Are you here playing piano then? Okay, cool. Okay, cool. Is it actually fun or is it really tedious work? See, I searched Nathan Glass now, and there's some dude playing piano. So you can find that person and see him play piano. I can't find you. I'm not good at creeping. So yeah, I guess it's rewarding once you're done everything. I don't know. I wanted to be when I was a little kid. I dreamt of being an animator, which I actually think would probably be one of the worst jobs ever because yeah, I grew up loving Disney, and I knew Disney was made by people, artists just drawing, and they would draw the same pictures over and over again. But now everything can be done a lot easier with technology. But I don't know, computers. Even now, doing so much like YouTube stuff, I'm always on the computer, and it's like you feel like a zombie or a slave to it. And like even because I sit on the floor here with my back against the couch so that I'm not on the couch all like with your back all bent over. Because lots of the time I'm sitting right here and I have my keyboard and my mouse here and I'm looking up at the TV like this, so I'm doing everything kind of like this, and it hurts your wrists and it hurts your neck. So I ordered a one of those mouse that you kind of hold like this, those ergonomic mice, so that my wrists are going to be easier. And I want to get a table that kind of like stands up so that I can like stand up and do things in a more ergonomic way, because all my editing's done on my phone too, so I'm always like doing this. And I think that the chiropractors in the future are going to have it pretty good because we're all going to have messed up necks from staring down at our cell phones. But yeah, doing like game creation is probably like the work is a nightmare, but then seeing it created is special. I'm working, yeah, yeah. I'm working on a Boa video right now that is like, because if you search the basics of boas, a few people have done videos, but they haven't like gone through all the details. So I've watched them all, gathered information, and added a pile more information. So I'm working on like it's close to 40 minutes, but it's just everything about boas with pictures, so that you can like really understand a lot more. So I'm gonna try and get that up by the end of today. But it's it's crazy because it's just when you do little videos, you can throw in any music. When you do a longer video and you're giving information, if the music's too exciting, it distracts you from what the person's saying. And if it's too boring, it's like, what's the point of it being there? And it's a constant like battle between, oh, I want this exciting music because I like this music, but then I'm watching it, I'm not listening to anything that's being said because I'm too busy listening to the exciting music. But music is huge in games too. Uh, what kind of games are you designing? Are they like shooter, first person shooter, exploring? What kind of game? And welcome, extra viewers. Partake in the conversation, please. Oh, YouTube is a nightmare. uh, it's definitely not as easy as lots of people think it is, or as easy as I thought it would be. I was inspired. This is so terrible. But I was inspired by. There's this girl, Taylor Nicole Dean. So if everybody knows who Taylor Nicole Dean is, she's. Okay. Endangered. Cool. Side scrolling action explorer. So kind of like a platform where you're going from one side to the other. Taylor Nicole Dean is like probably one of the most famous YouTubers, and she's this girl that would would make videos about her animals, and it'd just be like, "Hi everyone, here's my beautiful snake, Louis Vuitton, because he's so expensive." And it just goes on, and I'm just like, people watch this. How are people watching this? Like, I'm not learning anything. I'm just kind of baffled by how many people this girl has watching her. So I was just like, if this child can do it, I have to be able to do this. So, and then, so there was a bad example, and then a good example. There's a guy, Garrett Hartle, and Garrett Hartle has a channel called Reach Out Reptiles, and he started making videos that were just educational, that really taught you stuff. And awesome. He started doing something called Free Tip Friday, where every Friday he taught people something about Superdwarf Reticulated Pythons. And the way he did it was so informative and so like good. It was like every Friday, you're addicted, you want to watch the next video, and I'm just like, I love what this guy is doing. And I'm like, I'm always working with Boas. I've been working with Boas for 8 years. So I want to share that with people. I was scared of Boas myself, and holding one and like falling in love with them was such a, it was, I went from someone that was afraid of snakes to someone who has a third bedroom with over 100 snakes in it. So I wanted to kind of share that with people, teach people, because there's so much that I had to learn that I didn't know, and I'm a gatherer of information. I go online, I read, I study, and I try and find everything I can. So I wanted to kind of create a place where you can learn everything and anything you'd ever want to know about Boas. Also, from a marketing standpoint, education is the best form of sales. So I know that if I teach you everything you want to know and kind of get you into Boas, when you're ready to get one, why wouldn't you get one off me? Especially like when you see and know the time that I've put into them. So that transparency is really good. I do ship to the States, but it ends up costing a lot. So most of the time when people from the States ask me that, I actually send them to Jason's Exotics, because Jason has a great selection of snakes and he does a really good job with them too. And if you get one young, yeah, nice to meet you, Mr. Iowa. And maybe one day we'll see each other again. So I do ship to the States, but it's more of, if I create a super special snake that's about $1,000 or more and you really want it, then it's kind of worth getting and paying the extra money to get it. But if you're gonna get a $100 snake from me and then have to spend $600 to get it over, it's kind of not really smart. So it's better for you to just find a good breeder in the States. And I like Jason Exotics a lot for Boas. Hello, I love your videos. I tried to tame my boas like you do. I bought a sunglow and an anery motley arabesque head albino. Awesome. They are... I don't have any arabesque yet. I actually bought a... Somebody was selling what he said was an arabesque, but it was actually a square tail. So I don't have arabesque yet, but they are very pretty. I like how they kind of have like a soft, clean pattern. And GC Constrictors, how is the taming going? And are these your only ones, so you kind of got a pair, or do you have a pile of them? What is my favorite morph? It all depends on the species. So when it comes to boas, I really like sunglows. Even though there are all sorts of crazy stuff out there, a good sunglow, they're my favorite. IMG is really cool too. When it comes to Superdwarf Reticulated Pythons, my favorite is Ultras. I think the way you... Awesome. With Ultras, I like them so much because they look like albinos, so everyone thinks they're albino, but they're not. What I actually don't like about albinos is the red eyes. I find a lot of albino snakes have kind of ugly red eyes. So when I do get albinos, I'm very particular about picking out snakes that kind of have more like pink eyes or really pretty eyes. When I look at when I'm picking out animals, I've never been the type of person that says, I gotta go and make this morph. I need this morph so that I can just make a pile of these and sell them. I've always been the type of person where it's like, I'll spend years and go to every reptile show and look at every single animal, and every show I'll find like the prettiest animal and I'll be like, that's the one, that's the prettiest animal of the show, and I cannot afford it, or oh, I can afford it, I have to buy it now. So then I end up getting those really pretty animals, and sometimes they work into my breeding projects and sometimes they don't. So if they don't work into my breeding projects, I keep them as a pet and I raise them and I hang out with them until something comes along that's worth breeding with them. Oh, you will. And I think lots of people go in wanting moon glows, and here's this. Is this my... This is from the first moon glow litter that I produced, and I've just been taking my time growing her. But when you look at this snake, it's kind of like beige. Moon glows end up being beige. They don't really end up being white. And I just feel like when you see them and they're so little and they're white, they're a lot more desirable. And then once you have them, it's kind of like, okay, now what? I want to kind of go somewhere else with it. So they're definitely awesome animals, and like my moon glows are the first to go. Like I have a waiting list for people to get them. But I actually prefer sun glows. I love the peaches and the orange and all the different colors that you get coming out of them. What is this? Are you about... Oh, she's gonna shed. But it's a good goal to have. That was my first goal. I wanted to make moon glows. Now I don't... now it's kind of just getting some crazy IMGs. And I really like... no. They both basically do the same thing. And they do, like, as they get older then too, they fade a bit and they start looking ivory. blood albinos are cool, the red dragons, but the thing with red dragons is when they're babies, they look insanely orange, and then after, when they fade, they they look like faded sun glows. That so I like. Same thing happens with the leopard albinos, but I'm trying to go towards leopard albinos because when you have the leopard albinos, then you also have the smaller size of the leopards. So the sun dragons are really, they are cool and not much looks like them as a baby, but as they get older they fade, and then they're also the same size as all the other regular BCIs. So for me, I really like the albino leopards because you end up looking similar and they do end up being smaller. So when they're smaller, it also creates easier to kind of care for. I love boas because they can get big, but I also like the idea of kind of working with the dwarfs. And I have a hog island, but I don't breed them because when you take hog islands and you breed them, you make a whole pile of $250 snakes basically. Here, that's what they go for. And even though they sell fast, I'd rather sell a lot less snakes and have more expensive ones than produce a whole pile of cheaper ones and sell them. And it's just like Walmart makes more money than Prada or Gucci because of volume. And you can always do volume or you can do kind of like quality. I've always wanted to sell less, more expensive, than a whole pile of cheaper ones. Because I want people to really kind of, if they get an animal off me, I want it to kind of be like a piece of art that they love, it's like they're precious. Instead of encouraging what happens so much in the industry where people get one and then they want another one and another and they become collectors and then they start breeding them and they don't really know what to do and then they sell them all to the pet store. The pet store gives them $20 each and then they're selling them and they're not the greatest animals. They haven't been worked with, they haven't been fed properly, and then you end up with a big mess. Plus just the time. Like this year I think I had like 5 successful boa pairings and I haven't had much time. So I'm trying to find that perfect number where I never plan on expanding. Let's say my YouTube blows up and I become like Snake Discovery. I'm never going to get a warehouse or a zoo or anything like that because I understand that it'll take up too much time. And then you end up being a slave to it. And I like the idea of being a full-time dad and spending all my time with my daughter. So snakes can help with that a lot. The projects I'm working on is... Oh, hello, Pete. Nice to see you. Thank you for always participating. The projects that I'm working on right now is IMG stuff. So I have an IMG Moonglow, and I'm putting him to Sophie, which is my second snake. She's a gorgeous albino. So, okay, so you see this snake. This is a Moonglow. I'm going to go and get Sophie. I'll be right back. maybe for a bit. Are we back? Do you see me? Okay, so this is Sophie, and Sophie is, I just saw her when I was first getting into boas. I thought she was the most beautiful snake, the most beautiful albino I ever saw. So I went and I got her, and I've raised her until now, so she's like 7 years old. And I never bred her to anything. I just kind of kept her. And to me, I actually think she's prettier than the Moonglow. And she's just an albino. I don't know the genetics in her, like if she's het for anything, but I'm guessing that she's het for anery. And I'm guessing that because she has like no red anywhere except on her tail. So I've just kept her and raised her and waited for the right snake to come. And now I basically imported this from a guy named Bradley Crisp in the UK. So this is an IMG hypo het anery possible het albino. And I named him Bond because he came from the UK. But I like the way he looks way more than my Moonglow IMG. My Moonglow IMG doesn't look as pretty as this hypo IMG. So instead about just making the most expensive animals you can or the fanciest morphs, which are nice, and this is an intense snake. Like that's basically got the Moonglow genes if it is het albino. So, and this guy will go for $2,000 pretty easily. So I could sell this guy for $2,000, or I could try and produce more Moonglow IMGs and try and sell those for like $5,000. But and I have a few more, I think, Moonglow IMGs. I think I have a Snow IMG and a Moonglow IMG that I've been raising. But when I look at this snake that is cheaper than those, he excites me a lot more. Like he's my second favorite IMG. My favorite IMG is a Sunglow IMG that I'm raising. But I just think that he's gorgeous. And I love that he's actually not totally black. He has a nice balance of black. And I love that face. Like his face is just dark and light. And then Sophie. So I'm taking a chance putting them together because she might not be anery. And if she's not carrying anery, then I'm not going to get to see the beautiful anery that's going to come out of him. But I have a feeling she is. And even if she isn't, I'll get to prove out whether he's albino or not. And I'll also get some IMGs that are not albino. So I'll have a little bit of everything. If he's albino, I'll get some regular albinos. I'll get some IMG albinos. And if she's anery, then I'll be getting everything. I'll be getting ghosts. I could get another Moonglow. Could get all sorts of stuff. Yeah. When I put together snakes, I want to just make the prettiest snakes I can. I don't really care so much about the value. But I also have expensive taste because lots of these snakes that are the most beautiful are also really expensive. There's a guy in the States, I forget his name, but what he's been doing, he's been taking ghosts and mixing Hog Islands into them. So when he mixes Hog Island into ghosts, he's been making super light, bright ghosts. And I think that doing something like a project like that, where you're taking your time and you're trying to get a certain look out of an animal, that's really cool. So when you go on Kijiji right now for Toronto, there's somebody selling crosses, like Nicaraguan Hog Island crosses. They're asking, I think, $375 for them, and they're ugly. They're they're calling them hybrids. So someone's selling them. They're calling them hybrids to try and like charge a bit more, and they're not to me they're not really it's not a hybrid because you're not crossing like different species with each other. They're the same. They're both boas, but so it'd be like me crossing a leopard with a normal and saying that that's a hybrid, and it's not really a hybrid. It's a mutt because it's lost its like pure blood, and now you're never going to be able to make a pure leopard by doing that anymore. However, if you're not really caring about the leopard and then you're breeding it into something else just to change the look and making it better, then sure, then that makes sense. But this person that's putting Ghost and Hog Island together, he's not trying to sell them as fancy Hog Islands. He's just trying to make prettier, brighter ghosts. So it's kind of you get kind of the difference. So when I'm looking on Kijiji and this person's trying to sell these Nicaraguan Hog Islands for $375, and then there's another breeder named Darren Hamill or something like that, and he works hard to keep the localities pure. He's selling his pure Hog Islands for $275, so for $100 less, and his are beautiful and they're pure Hog Islands. So it's just like, if anything, he should be charging more and she should be charging less. She shouldn't be charging to me more than $200 for those hybrid snakes because they're just mutts. And when she sells those to people and then they buy those, then they're going to be later selling them to people saying they're Hog Islands because they know people want Hog Islands. And then people that don't know any better, that just want a Hog Island but haven't done their research, they're going to go and buy these mutts, and then our gene pool gets all messed up. So there's the two sides of it. There's the morphs. Like, these are morphs. Where are they from? Are they from Nicaragua? Are they from Colombia? Like, who knows where they're from? But I'm not trying to sell them as if they are from a certain place. They're just cool morphs. But when you get into the localities, you really should keep it. Okay, albino IMGs. What color will these look like as adults, considering the two morphs are going against each other? So you end up with crazy. So I'm making a video about it, but when you look at, I'll try and show you. Okay, so when you look at put these back. When you look at Sophie, okay, so when you look at Sophie, you see white and yellow. So you just see kind of two colors. You see the white and you see the yellow. So when you look at most albinos, you see the two colors. And now I'm going to show you an IMG one. Okay, so I'm going to talk loud so you can hear the microphone. So, when you see IMGs, you kind of get three colors. It's focusing on me instead of the snake. So you see in the tail, you end up with like 3 colors. You end up with the you end up with yellow, you end up with the other color, and you end up with lavender. So you see like yellow, lavender, and the warmth. So there's like a lot more lavender in there. So I find that the IMGs are like 3 tones. You see kind of like there's like a stripe going along the side. There's like a stripe, and there's more than 2 tones. You get like white, you get yellow, and you get lavender. Now, so that's kind of in the snow. Now when you look at the sun glow, this is a regular sun glow. So you see you got your light and you got your orange. And that's your sun glow. Now, you look at the IMG sun glow. Way more pigment, way more like contrast. And this snake, I think that this snake is going to be redder than a sun dragon. I think it's going to get darker and redder and brighter. So when you ask about sun dragons, I like the idea of the albino leopards, but to me this is going to be the reddest snake that you're going to end up seeing as an adult. And that's, I believe this one is an IMG Super Sun Glow. Yeah. So I want to do IMG albino hypo leopard. And I think that'll be pretty crazy too. Thank you, thank you. So IMG albinos are really hard to pick out, especially with hypo ends up messing because it's like hypo kind of gets rid of pattern and IMG puts on pigment. So the two fight each other, and when you have super involved, so if you have a super hypo, the hypo is taking away a lot of the IMG. But what I like about that is I believe that regular super hypo IMGs are not going to turn totally black. So the idea totally black is awesome. So I'm going to be making anery motley IMGs, which are like the blackest ones you can make. But I also like the idea of kind of getting that half and half, where the IMG is on half the body and you can see half the pattern. And that's kind of almost like the closest we can get to kind of like cows. Also, VPI is very interesting. I don't like regular VPIs. I like VPI as soon as it's like VPI Snow Glow, or like when you get to VPI Moon Glow, IMG, amazing, but it's just the amount of time and years that you have to get that. It's a lot of work, and I don't like the gene on its own. I don't like VPI until it's at that level. Whereas with like regulars, like I love the way just a call albino looks if it's a nice yellow albino like Sophie. I love the way sunglows look. So so even with like the lower end animals, I really like the way they look. With the VPIs, the way the lower animals look, I don't really like them. So because of that, I don't really feel like getting into them unless I was going to start off with a VPI snow glow. But with these animals, I've been working at it for, it's taken me 8 years to get those like crazy crazy snakes. So my biggest investment was a IMG Moonglow male, and he's not really as good looking as my regular Moonglow. And I care a lot about that. I care a lot about how the animal looks. So I try to breed snakes that have, I like big eyes, smooth patterns. I like it to look a certain way kind of aesthetically, so I aim towards that a lot more than caring about. I think that there's another big problem, like GC Constrictors. You said you want a Moonglow, and lots of people start off wanting a Moonglow, and they think to themselves, what do I need to get? I need to get this, and then I'm going to get a Moonglow. And I get it, and genes are very important. You need the right genes or you're never going to get the snake that you want. But more important than those genes, to me, is, so if red and blue make purple, and you just want purple, you don't just go and buy any red and blue so that you can have purple. You go and you find the prettiest blue and the prettiest red to make the most beautiful purple. And I'm looking at the microphone instead of the camera. So, don't look at it like, I just need to get to this. Look at it like, how am I going to get to this? It's often not what you do, but how you do it. How are you going about that way? So, when I first started getting into Boas, I got that albino Sophie, and I got a beautiful Hog Island. And in my head, I thought to myself, Sophie's beautiful, the Hog Island's beautiful. I'm going to put them together. I'm going to have gorgeous Hog Islands, gorgeous albinos, and mixtures of the two. I didn't understand how genes worked. As soon as I learned that I'm not going to get any albinos, and I'm going to be creating mutts, I didn't do that breeding. And now, 8 years later, Sophie is breeding for the first time. So I raised her for 8 years without breeding her. And my Hog Island Boa, I still have him, and I have not bred him to anything. And this year I'm only doing about, I think, 3 pairings, because I don't want what happened last year. I don't want to overproduce a pile of animals. So I'm selling a lot of my adults that I've only bred once or twice, so I don't really care about breeding and trying to make as many as I can. I want to make quality, and I want to show. I want to, like, basically I show them to you, you see them, and people are going to see some really beautiful animals, and then that's how they end up selling, as opposed to getting all my snakes pregnant, doing it over and over and over again, and just selling them like crazy, cheaper ones. It's really not what I want to do, even if I could. I really like it to be at the point where almost I have my 6 female breeders, and I put 3 on one year, and then I put 3 on the next year, and I rotate them kind of. And then if you think about it, the babies take about 4 years before you can breed them. So if you plan things nicely, you breed them, You give them a year off, you breed them, you give them a year off, you breed them, so you breed them like 3 times, and then you can retire them. You can make sure that they go to someone kind of as a pet that'll really take care of them, or you can keep them as your pet, but then their babies can start breeding, and you don't have to breed the animal till it dies. You don't have to like overdo it, or you don't have to keep it as a breeder for 30 years. I really think that I'm taking something from these animals, so I also want to give them something. And same thing with the community. I want to give people that knowledge, that thinking, because our world is a world that is so greed driven. And if you're doing things in a greedy way, you're not going to enjoy it. You're not going to enjoy the animals. You're not going to enjoy the customers. You're not going to really enjoy anything. And for me, I want to enjoy the experience of the animals, enjoy teaching my daughter about them, enjoy teaching you guys about them, and really kind of have that time to enjoy everything. And I am able to do that more because I don't need to sell them to make money, so it's not my source of income. My main source of income is a hair salon, and basically I opened a hair salon when I was 19 years. No, I left home when I was 19, and I opened up a hair salon when I was 25. And same thing. I'm not the most expensive. I charge $80 for a woman's haircut and $50 for a men's haircut. And I always said I'd rather work less and charge more. So when I'm working, I'm usually making at least. Hello, can you hear me better? Hello, James Starr, can you hear me better? Is it loud or is it like quiet or? Because I'm in a room with no noise. Okay, so talking into the microphone is better. It's in my legs. Okay, so loads of white noise. Okay, is it loud? I'm gonna try. I have this boost on it, so I'm gonna try lowering the boost if I can figure that out. Filters. Where are my filters? This is my first time live streaming, so I tried to set the audio for. Oh, nothing's on. I think I can add a filter. Okay. Noise suppression. I wonder if that'll help. Now, does that make it better? Yeah, it sounds better now. I just tried adding a filter. I don't know if it helped. Okay. Thank you, James or Jamstar. Thanks for bringing that to my attention. You terrible people, you didn't tell me I didn't sound good. Thanks. Okay. So basically, at the hair salon, yes. Thank you. Thank you, all you wonderful people. It's like I was talking with poop in my face and you didn't let me know. So, at the hair salon, I'm making at least $80 an hour because a men's haircut takes me 30 minutes and I charge $50. A woman's haircut takes me an hour or less and I charge $80. So, I'm never really working for less than $80 an hour, and I could fill a salon fill a salon with workers and work 7 days a week and make a lot of money, but then I have no time. So time is the greatest currency in life. So instead, when I found out I had a baby, I got rid of my big salon, and now I work inside a little Chinese mall, and I have a really ghetto fabulous little hair salon where I work Friday, Saturday, and make enough to be at home all week with my daughter and taking care of all the snakes. Mind you, COVID has absolutely just killed my hair salon. So, and I'm in lockdown now, so I've been collecting the government money, which is called CERB here in Canada. And slowly, the snake business that has been my hobby is starting to catch up to the hair business. But, like, my wife is always mad at me because she works full time, and I end up making more than her in 2 days than she does working full time. But it has to do with figuring out the smartest way to kind of do something. And I think lots of people really undervalue themselves and they don't think that they're worth more or they can't think of what to do. But a favorite quote is work for your dreams or someone else will pay you to work for theirs. So we're in the lands of opportunity. We have so much, yet so many people just sit around being miserable, complaining, and whining. I've always been the type of person that says, do it. Like, I want to do this, go do it. Like, and I don't know how to do it, so figure it out. Like, a year ago, I had no idea how to use a camera properly. I had no idea how to edit videos. I don't have anyone that really does anything for me, so I could whine and complain and make excuses. Or, like, the amount of hours that I've spent watching YouTube videos on how to make videos, on how to edit videos, on how to set up the camera, on how to set up the bloody microphone. Right now I'm using OBS Studio and like streaming and like all these things I had to teach myself. And the only thing that stops kind of anyone from doing anything that they want, especially where we live, is just willpower. Because we should be so grateful for every time I turn on the water to kind of clean my snake bowls and give them water, I feel a little bit like a dick because I'm just like, in places in Africa, there's people that walk all day long to get a bucket of water that's full of like parasites and stuff. So we have it so good. We should really appreciate it and appreciate our time. So I try my best to enjoy whatever I'm doing and not get caught up in I need to do this or I need to do that. Enjoy the journey. So whatever you're doing, whatever goal you're trying to accomplish, the goal that you want to achieve is not as important as enjoying getting there. Because as soon as you achieve any goal, anything that you've wanted to do, anything you've set out to do, as soon as you do it, it's not special anymore. It's not a goal anymore. You did it. And it doesn't feel as grandiose as you think it would. Back to hair. I wanted to be the best hairdresser in Toronto, so I entered all these competitions and I spent years to try and be the best. And I started finally getting like, I got top 3 years in a row in Ontario, and I got my trophy and I held it up and I was like, yeah, I did it. But then I looked at this trophy and it was just a piece of plastic. And I wasn't happy. It didn't give me satisfaction. It didn't really give me anything. It actually left me with emptiness. And anyone that is competitive, that gets into anything, when you try to get to the top, the moment you get to the top, it's not satisfying. So whether it's a relationship, a car, a house, or whatever it is that you want, I'm telling you, it won't make you happy. It won't satisfy you. So, on the other hand, seeing my baby, my daughter being born, I saw her laying kind of on the tray where they show the baby's weight, and that was the greatest moment in my life. It was just like, look at this baby. It cost me nothing. Like I didn't pay for it. She's here now, and everything I've ever done, everything I've ever accomplished in my life means nothing. So this trophy that I spent so long trying to get, it's a piece of plastic, and it doesn't mean anything because whoever is best probably isn't even competing. They're somewhere doing hair and they're the best. Good for them. Uh, but the best things in life are free, and the largest currency is time because we're getting paid to give up our lives so that we can have some paper and metal that doesn't mean anything. So I really don't like money. So I like to try to make as much as I can quickly so that I can use it to enjoy time. But I don't really dress myself in fancy clothes, and I don't try to be showy or like boastful. I'm proud of the things that I've done, but when you need to kind of do that stuff, when you need a fancy car and fancy things to kind of feel good about yourself, it just shows what you are. And my wife is very much kind of more materialistic, and she looks at me and she's like, "What are you wearing?" Like, I'm wearing purple pants and a yellow wife beater, and I shouldn't call them that, but I don't like calling them tank tops. I went into Old Navy the other day and I was like, "Hey, can I get a wife beater?" And the lady's like, "We don't call them that here. We call them tank tops." And I'm just like, if I go into a store and I ask for a tank top, like the first thing that comes up to me is like I think of a woman's shirt with a little straps on it. And I'm not wearing that. When you think wife beater, automatically you think about that item of clothing. I don't really think about people hurting other people, hopefully. That's not funny. Uh, this is my problem. I don't really find things funny unless they're inappropriate. And I like just the stupidest potty humor. Like, I enjoy getting up in the morning, making a poop, and looking at it. And my wife will come into the washroom and flush it. She'll be like, "You're gross. That stinks. Flush the toilet." And I just like, when she flushes it, I feel like I've lost something because it's like I want to look at it. I don't know. There's something about just seeing your poop and knowing that everything's okay. But like my wife is always like, how can you like be a man? Like look at the way you dress. You dress like a child. You act like a child. And it's just like, yeah, I want to be a child. Children have fun. And like if I'm in my house, I fart, I burp, I do those things, and I'm just like, I think that God gave us farts so that we could laugh and run away. It's a funny sound. We hear it, we run away. Everyone does it. Why is it got to be such a big deal? Like, and if you hold it in, it doesn't feel good. You push it out, it's satisfying. Yeah, all about farts. Yeah, wonderful. Gemstar. So where are you guys from? Are you guys from the States? Anyone from Canada? What should we talk about now? I only planned to stream for an hour, but like I'm bored, so let's see where this is gonna go. Oh my goodness, actually at the beginning of the stream, Ariel was walking around in her underwear. I told her not to come here, but she did, so trouble, 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 trouble. I am crazy. I have really bad ADD. I have something called borderline personality disorder, and my life as a child was a nightmare. Like it just my parents loved me and they wanted to make me into like a better kid, and my relatives would tell my mom, you spoil him too much, you have to beat him. So my mother would beat me. And maybe. And my dad was more, so my mom's Spanish and my dad's German. So that's why I'll do Spanish accents and German ones because I can get away with that. But yeah, my mom's very sensitive and then my dad's very smart. Then I got left a little bit of crazy. But my childhood basically was doctors, therapists. Yes. And I'm from Germany and now I can chat with you. Yeah, very good. You are Germany. I like to do German. I'd like to do more accents, but I don't because I don't want to be racist. Even though I don't think it's racist, but it's racist. I actually want to like take all my snakes and do little videos with them talking like, "Hello, my name is Belvedere. If you buy me, I'll be a wonderful pet and you can play with me and hold me and we can have a lovely time." And it's like no one will say anything about doing an English accent, but if I do like a Chinese accent, oh my goodness, I'm gonna get canceled and I haven't even started. So I'll stick to kind of like my dirty Spanish accent, my German accent, and my English one. Yeah, it's like when you are in Germany, you take a look. I think the toilets, they have a nice little shelf. So you poop on the shelf, you look at it, and you're like, oh yeah, everything is good. I can flush it. German is just like, Germans to me are the funniest. You just picture a pile of like German guys in the bar, and they're like, oh, ha, ha. When somebody farts, somebody says to him, like, oh, did you just shit your pants? Like, it's just it's funny, it's good, but then Spanish is like if you my mother got remarried to a dude that's a year younger than me and his name's Jefferson. And he was very sensitive. Like when he first married my mom, he felt like he had to compete with me for her, and then like no way. I'm like, you can have her. My mom's crazy. You take her. Have fun with her. Like like just keep her like away from me. She's too much. But the first time that I had dinner with my mother and her new husband, I had a fart at the dinner table and I just ripped it. And he got so mad at me. He flipped his plate. He like threw his plate in the air and there was food all over the table. Like you're disrespecting me. Don't do that. How could you do that? You are disgusting. You're so disrespectful. And I was just like, dude, I was here before you. I'll be here after you. I am gonna fart in my home. And that is my right. I feel strongly about being able to fart in my own house. I think I feel as strong about farting in my house as lots of Americans and their right to have a gun. If I want a gun, I get a gun. If someone comes on my property, I'm gonna take care of it. And that's my God-given right. Yeah. This is true. You don't have the right. You take it. You take it. I'm like, I'm sorry, because it's just like sometimes a man has to stand up for himself, and it's getting harder, you know? I'm not saying disrespect women or anything. I'm saying, like, we all should have rights. I don't bother my wife. She can fart if she wants. I can fart if I want. That is a right, and you cannot take it away. Sometimes. I have a few videos with farts in them. I don't try to. I don't try not to. If it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, oh well. But we're living in a world where it's just like we don't have the right to feel how we feel, and I don't think that's right either. Like you feel how you feel regardless. Don't be hateful. Don't, bring other people down. But if you like something, you like something. If your preference is a certain race, let's talk about that for a bit. I can get away with this, okay? So my mother's Spanish, so I said to myself, I never want to be with a Spanish woman. They're too sensitive and psychotic. And I'm allowed to say that because my mother's sensitive and psychotic in Spanish. And my dad, I like more like European, more kind of cold, not so sensitive, not so overreacting. And my wife is basically part Spanish, part Filipino. So I'm like, she's literally my nightmare. I ended up with my nightmare. So how racist am I? I ended up with the one thing I didn't want or said I never wanted. So there you go. Like what you like, want what you want, but be open to anything. How's the SV? What is the SV? I don't know what the SV is. I don't have an SV. I have a Honda F4i and I love it. So motorcycles, I started off with a rinky-dinky Kawasaki 250 that was purple, and I'm so ashamed that I was so proud of it. Like I was just like, I'm so cool. I have a motorcycle. And then I got a GS 500, and the GS 500, I love the way it looked, but it just was not powerful enough. And then I got a Honda F4i, and it is the best, but I treat it like garbage. I rip it around and I don't clean it. It's all good. And it has no body on it. I have to put a body on it like fairings, but it's just I'll probably never buy anything that isn't Honda now because I love that motorcycle. And my wife, that's another thing my wife is always bothering about. Why don't you get a car? We're in Toronto, and if you get a car in Toronto, you can't go anywhere because it takes an hour to get from Toronto to Toronto. That's another meme. But you have to pay like $20 for parking every time you go downtown. You have to like it's scary. I feel way safer on my motorcycle than on a car. I've been driving since I'm 16. I'm 35, and when I get on my motorcycle, I feel like Batman, and I just love it. I think it's the greatest thing in the world. Farts and poo. Oh man. Okay, we're all men here, right? We got four men. We got GC Constrictors, we got Denton Gallagher, we got Jamstar, and who's the fourth one? I think we just have three dudes. Maybe it's counting me. Oh man, they're good. I actually just got a Leachianis and a Chihuahua. So excited about those. And with the crested geckos, I got a lily white and a charcoal. So growing those too. But same kind of thing with the boas. Lots of people don't want to spend $1,000 on a crested gecko. But to me, if you're gonna get a crested gecko for $50 or $100 and just start breeding them and sell a whole pile of $50, $100 geckos, you're not going anywhere. So I got one pair of crested geckos that are just kind of like a Dalmatian because I liked how it looked, and a Harlequin or a I don't know what it is. They're just, I liked how they looked. I bred them. I really enjoyed them. So I decided that I'd get the top of the line ones. So instead of getting a whole pile of them, I just want to have the top of the line ones, have a couple pairs, and just work with those. Because that way I'm not taking care of as many and they're more valuable. So less whenever you put that money in the first place, they end up being less expensive because you don't have a ton of them. So if, let's say you get a whole pile of, I think you should really specialize. So if you wanted a lychee, get your lychee, get a female, raise it, and then get a male. You're going to spend a few $1,000s, but then you have the largest gecko in the world. It's so cool. And you will eventually spend $1,000 if you get a whole pile of little ones. So you save, you get that one, and then you have that epic animal, and you take really good care of it. And then later on, when you have babies, you're gonna get the money back. I haven't lost any money in reptile breeding. Every single time that I've spent money on reptiles, I've got the money back. And many times I've been able to sell animals for more than I bought them for. VPI IMG female. Yes. It's a VIP motley. What's so special about it? Tell me about this VIP motley. I never heard of VIP before. Yeah, VIP IMGs are expensive everywhere. But if that's what you want to get into, I suggest saving the money and getting it. Because when I first got into this, I wanted a moon glow just like GC Constrictors. So what I did is I bought two hypo. So I bought two hypos that were hit moon glow. So I got a female hypo that's hit IMG, that's hit albino and anery, and I got a male hypo that's hit anery and albino. And now I raised these snakes, and the funniest thing is that my first snake is an anery albino. My first boa is an anery albino. So, because I didn't understand how genes work, I ended up buying that pair that were hypo het moonglow when all I needed was that female. Because that female, later on I did breed to my anery het albino, so that I didn't interbreed brother and sister, because I bought a pair, and lots of the time you get a pair, you get a brother and a sister. So I didn't end up breeding those snakes that I was going to try and make moonglows with. I ended up breeding the hypo het moonglow to an anery het albino, and then I got my moonglows, and it was extra good because they weren't related to each other. And then I had that extra snake that I used for other things. But now I have a hypo het moonglow male that I'm going to sell because I don't want to breed him to anything. And I have that anery albino that I'm going to sell because I don't want to breed him to anything. Because I don't want to breed these like $300 snakes to anything. Because it's just, I look at a female as so valuable. Why would I breed a $300 male to her when I can breed a $2,000 male to her? It doesn't make any sense to do it the other way. And spending, yeah, I know I was teasing you about the VIP thing. Spending the money on the two hets ends up costing you more because you're going to take 4 years before you get your first moonglow. So on the other hand, you get your moonglow, and in 4 years you can make a ton more moonglows, or you can be somewhere else on the project because you're using those original animals to make the moonglow, and then those original animals become way less valuable to you. So you're better off starting off with that most valuable animal, saving the 4 years, and then 4 years down the road, you're just making more of those really expensive animals. It ends up being way better. How large of a cage would I be expecting for a super dwarf? Okay, so the super dwarfs are bigger than most people are making them out to be. And that's something that I kind of have problems with. So I'll show you what I think the ideal home would be for an adult super dwarf. It's right in this room because I ended up getting one for my biggest one. So you see over here? Oh, you can't hear me because of the microphone. So I'm picking up the microphone and I'm going as far as the cord reaches. So this right here is it's 5 feet long and it's 3 feet tall, and I got it built for Queen because I'm like, she deserves a better home. It cost $800, which is pretty good. It's made out of like wood or something. It's heavy as crap. Um, so I really like the idea of making these homes, and I'm slowly gonna do it for my boas too, but they're not gonna be as big because right now my boas are in 4 feet by 2 feet by kind of like 1 foot. So what I'm gonna start doing is my selling my older snakes, keeping less of them, and putting them in 4 by 2 by 2. But with super dwarfs, I think that they do best in something like this. It's 5 feet by 3 feet by 2 feet. So it's 2 feet wide, it's 3 feet tall, and it's 5 feet long. And it has a shelf in the middle of it. So half, like basically in one back corner, it has a shelf that the snake can go on, and then the shelf has a dowel that is connected from its side to the wall. So it has basically a perch where it can go perch. It has a shelf where it can hang out, and then like giving it a bit of UV, giving it heat, trying to do the heat from on top. And well, you want to give them that. You want them to have that exercise. You want them to have good muscle tone. And you don't really want to give them less than that because super dwarfs, even like boas, don't move as much. Super dwarfs move a lot. And they do end up getting big. And unless you're getting a Karompa, which most people aren't getting, you are going to end up with a snake that is about, it's going to be about 8 to 14 feet is what you're usually going to be looking at. So, super dwarfs are my favorite snakes, but they require more effort. They require more time. They shouldn't, to me, they shouldn't be kept the same as you can with boas. Boas can get away, you can get away with giving them a bit less because they aren't as active. But the super dwarfs, they have more going on. They want to be doing stuff. They want to be out a lot more than boas do. And they really kind of thrive on being able to do more. How large do I keep? So I have one pure. I have some 50%. I have 75%. And even my 75% is like, I think she's like 8 feet. I have a pure that's 12 years old. She's 11 feet. And that's what I got that for her. And if I could give her bigger, I would, but that's just the best I can do. So this is probably going to be my first year actually getting super dwarf babies, and it's something that I feel a little funny about because I don't feel bad or guilty or anything when I sell boas when they go to homes. I think people can take really good care of them. But with super dwarfs, I think that they are, I don't if it's going to be your only pet, let's say you're going to only have a super dwarf and you're going to spend a ton of time with it, then it could be a good pet. But if you're keeping a pile of animals, I really think super dwarfs should not really be collected. I think they should be more of your one dream animal, your one dream pet that you spend a lot of time with, because they think more, they do more, they require more stimulus. Okay, here it comes. Oh, okay, it happened. What? So I'm aiming to have kind of like 8 foot adults, but it's you don't really know that it takes so much time for these animals to grow, and they keep growing. So I'm surprised at the size of my 50%. They're not as big as I thought they'd be, because I have my 75% is bigger than I'd think it'd be, and I don't feed them weekly. I feed them lots of the times every 3 weeks until breeding season, and then I start feeding them more. Incubator, I'm using 2 different incubators. I'm using a Reptibator, which is just like a cheap incubator you can find on Amazon, and I've modified it. I made a video about that, so if you search incubation on my channel, you can see how I modified it. But I run an incubator at 83 degrees, and then I have another incubator that I run at 88 degrees. And I'm planning this year to split the clutches, like to take the eggs and incubate some of them at the lower temperature and some at the higher, because I think that incubation can probably affect snakes more than we think they do. When you use temperatures changes, you can actually control leopard gecko sex. So leopard geckos, if you incubate them at about 83 degrees, most of them end up being females. So I incubate all my leopard geckos at 83 degrees. I don't try to make any males, because females can be great pets, and you can keep kind of more of them. With a male, you can't keep them together. Lots of people are really anti cohabitation. I'll talk to you guys about that a bit, because I think cohabitating is fine as long as it's done properly, as long as you can separate them. I think that animals do benefit from being around other ones, even though lots of people disagree. But all of the problems that are happening with cohabitation are from idiots. Like, it's from people that don't know what they're doing. They're trying to save space. They're either underfeeding. Like, if you have 2 hungry animals together, you can end up with a problem. If you have 2 males together, you're gonna have a problem. If you're feeding them together, you're gonna have a problem. If all these things can happen. But other things that can happen, let's say you have a female that's kind of more like finicky, more nervous. I've actually found when I take 2 females that are more nervous and I put them together, they end up becoming more docile. Just like when you take a male that wants to breed, you put him with a female, he just calms down. There's something about certain animals, when you put them together, they calm down. And then there's others where it's not like that. The biggest thing that has to be done when you're keeping any animals together is that you separate them when you feed them. They have to be separated when you feed them, and they should be left alone for like 3 days after feeding them. They shouldn't be put together until they've had like a few days to digest a bit, and then they can be put back together. But when they're kept together, you have to clean them way more. You have to like keep an eye out on them more, and you have to be able to separate them to feed them. But I've been keeping snakes together for a long time and have had no problems at all. But not a lot. Like I'll grow females in pairs lots of the time. And I've tested it out for a long time. My cresties I do at room temperature. So with the cresties, I have no idea with the male or female or what goes on. I just raise them for I raise them until I know what sex they are before I sell them, or I sell all the ones that I'm not really that attracted to, and I keep the prettiest ones. I wait to see if they're female, and if they're female, I'll most likely keep them because I'm trying to start a group. I'm trying to start. Eventually, my crusty group is going to be 6 females, and I'm going to leave it at that. So I'll keep working with them, and I'll just keep the 6 best ones, and I'll sell everything else. I'm trying. 6 seems to be the number. I'm trying to keep 6 female boas, 6 female crested geckos, 6 female leopard geckos, and kind of have these groups of 6 females and 2 males for everything other than boas, and then with boas, probably 1 male for each female at the most. That's kind of my system for like how I can kind of produce a little bit of everything and keep it balanced without it going crazy. I use vermiculite. Vermiculite is my favorite for incubation. I've tried perlite. I didn't like it. It didn't absorb the water well enough and the eggs got wet. Things went wrong. I tried cocoa coir, but vermiculite and dumping springtails in with the eggs. So if you dump springtails into vermiculite when you put the eggs in, the springtails keep the eggs brand new. I'm getting cold. I'm going to put a hoodie on. Ask away, though. Ask away. Let me show you something. Okay. Okay, so Okay, let's do this. So this is a 75% Superdwarf named Ivy. She's my first Superdwarf. And I'd say she's about 8 feet long. Denton, I have a boa breeding video, and that boa breeding video covers everything I do to breed my boas. So if you look under my playlists, I have a playlist called Breeding Boas, and that'll basically go through everything I do to breed boas. So this is a 75% super dwarf, and she's still like it's a lot of snake. I've been bitten by smaller ones. I've never been bitten by the bigger ones because I'm always very careful. I try to be respectful. But I do not drop the temps. I'm in Canada, so we have cold winters and the temperatures automatically drop, the pressures automatically drop. So I use feeding. I try to use feeding to get my animals to breed a lot more than temperatures. If you were somewhere that's really hot, then it would make sense because the normal temperatures are going to be warmer. But here, if I drop the temperatures, plus it's Canada and it's cold, I don't want any animals getting sick. I have a terrible cough. I always have. And with the super dwarfs, I haven't really figured out breeding them exactly, but I think that also lots of mine are younger. So, and I haven't fed them a ton, so they've been growing slowly. So I think it's just a matter of they'll get a bit older and then they'll probably just start breeding a lot easier. And then it'll just kind of happen more naturally. Over the years, I think what I've learned when it comes to breeding is that manipulating and stuff, you can change things and up your chances of getting animals to breed. I like the feeding cycles the most because basically you feed them less all year, and then when breeding season comes, you feed them more until they stop eating. And when they stop eating, then you know they're ready to breed. But the best way to get any animal to breed for you is to just take good care of it. So if you take good care of your animals and you make sure that they're healthy and you just kind of get used to taking good care of them, they're going to start just breeding for you on their own. It's kind of like learning how to do plants. Like I killed every plant I touched for like a year, and now I'm finally starting to understand how to water them. And it becomes like intuition. Like it's just I know when to give it some water, and I keep all my plants alive and they grow, and then I can make more of them. And breeding plants has become almost like a bit of a hobby, just with like plants that are really easy to keep, and then slowly going to get into plants that are a little bit harder to keep, but you kind of figure out how to take care of them just in a natural way, and they start doing well. The same thing happens with snakes. When you take care of them and you give them good homes, you keep them healthy, you keep them clean, you give them everything they need, then they start breeding for you, and it feels like you have to do a lot less work. So I have animals breeding left, right, and center, and I'm kind of at the point where lots of the time I put animals together, and if they breed, great, and if they don't, I don't really care. And because of that, it's like I'll always have, oh, now these are happening, now those are happening, now I have these, now I have those. I am super excited to eventually get some super dwarfs, and it might happen this year, but if it doesn't, there's always next year. I'm not really in a rush to make a ton of these snakes, because these snakes, they are a lot more to handle. They're a lot more active. I can hang out here with my boa all day, and it's not gonna try and get away. With the retics, they wanna go explore, and it's just they get a big size, and if you're in an area where people get scared of them, like you don't have a big property or something, it it stinks that like my biggest super dwarf I don't take outside because I don't want to scare anyone. I don't want people to like report me. I don't want to get in any trouble. But I do want the snake to be able to go outside, get some sunlight, get some exploring done. So sometimes me and my buddy will go drive somewhere where no one's around and just let the bigger snakes get out and explore and do things. Yeah, they and size doesn't matter as much as personality. Like if you get a big animal that's sweet, that's all that matters. But even these big like Ivy's sweet, but she's still you still got to be kind of on your toes with her anytime you take her out. You always have to be extra respectful, and you have to really pay attention because and I don't let Avery near their heads because who knows? I'm not really scared of them biting her, but if they were, what it would do to everything. I really don't like getting animals to bite you for like I've never been the person that will try and get attention like that. If it was to happen, and it did, like I actually did get bit in the face by one of my retics, and I made a video about it, and then a pile of people complained, and somebody that I really respected talked to me about it. I took the video down, even though the video was doing really well, which is hard for me because it's like when I was first getting into snakes, and I think when most of us were getting into them back in the day, there was only Snake Bites TV. So it was Brian Barchuk, and he had this kind of show called Snake Bites. And every show he would be teasing snakes and getting the snakes to bite him and getting the snakes to bite other people. And people loved that and they watched it. And that was one, like, I think Brian Barchuk is kind of awesome because, and I think we're all jealous of him because we all wish we could have kind of like what he has. A big place full of animals, people working for you, people watching you all the time. It's awesome. But I just, I'd never. I'm like, if you do get bit and you got it on tape, share it, whatever. Learn from it. But don't go teasing animals or getting animals to bite you. Like, you don't do that on purpose. Uh, and I've fed a snake from my mouth, but I knew that I could feed that snake from my mouth and I knew it wouldn't bite me. I didn't do it so that I could get bit in the face or anything. Uh, it is better to portray them in a good light, and accidents can happen, but anytime that you get bit by a snake, it's your own damn fault. And I let Avery play with little snakes, and sometimes she'll be a little rougher than she should be, and sometimes she'll get bit by a baby snake, and that to me teaches her to respect them more. But I wouldn't let her hang out with bigger snakes that could hurt her, because if my daughter ever got bit by a big snake, it ruins everything. Then it becomes, I'm this crazy guy that puts my daughter in danger, and I don't want to be that person. I'm not that person. So people portray snakes in such a bad light, but it's like dogs have damaged so many people. Last year there were 49 deaths from dogs. There were no deaths by boa constrictors strangling anyone. So, but there's that negative light that is put on reptiles, and I gotta get this one. So there's a negative light that is put on reptiles, and you don't want to add to that. You want to take that away. Because like anytime I see a big dog, I think that's dangerous. But people love their dogs and they're wonderful, and but if you don't train a dog properly, it's much more risky and dangerous than a snake like this. And I've handled Ivy quite a bit, but still, I haven't put as much time into her as I would like to. And she is a head albino, so I'm basically growing her and gonna make some more 75% albinos. And then after that, I'm probably gonna be selling her and then working more with the albinos. But she is like 4 years old, and I did not feed her heavy at all. She eats a large meal every 3 weeks, and I didn't rush to get her big. I didn't push her to try and get her breeding, but this is a 75%, and it's pretty big. It's pretty long, and if you know what you're doing, it's okay, but to me, this is not a beginner snake. It's smart. It knows where it wants to go. It wants to do stuff. It doesn't just want to hang out with you and be nice the way that a boa will. Like it's constantly moving. It's constantly like wanting to do stuff. It's thinking. It doesn't really want to play with me. It doesn't want me to like hang out and pet its head. And I do have another one, Jasmine, that is more like that. But Ivy's like this. Like they don't want to stop. They want to keep going. They want to keep exploring. So I'm gonna put her back, and can I grab? No, I just fed Jasmine. I don't like bringing the ones that I fed to recently because I don't want to get poop on the couch or I'm gonna be murdered. Yeah, I'm gonna switch her out. Yeah, so it's just now you switch over to a boa, and automatically you just have that calmness. So you switch back to a boa, and you just end up with a much calmer animal. Still curious, still look around and stuff, but they kind of hold on to you and look around. They don't really like see she's getting a little grab on me. But they usually will calm down, and they're not just always trying to get away. She just came out, so when you first take them out, they want to explore, they want to figure out what's going on, but then they kind of calm down, and they're not constantly like in the need to go somewhere. This is my favorite ghost. And it's like I should have kept the fancier one, but like the motley anery ghost, and I have a male, but for females I just kept this one because she was just the brightest. But I was thinking about putting possibly trying to do the Hog Island thing with her to make brighter ghosts. Because when you look at to get light animals, as soon as you put albino in them, they end up going all yellow. When you take the fires, the super fires, and you look at how white they are, you're not really getting more. Like you're at a dead end. Now you add more genes to it, and you don't get to really see the pattern as much. With the Sterlings are really interesting because with the Sterlings, they with the Sterlings, when you add genes to them, it does really change their color quite a bit. It changes their like tails and stuff, so you still get kind of like little modifications. But I just like the idea of just making the snakes lighter without albino. Yeah, I saw the video with the woman and she stuck her hand in, and yeah, it was just that was just plain stupidity. Like it that's all it was. It was just stupidity that didn't need to happen. And it's just what's hard about these situations is that this lady, the amount of viewership, the amount of attention she got, even though it was negative attention, it was still attention. And it's so much harder to grow it, like to grow a channel just teaching people stuff. You don't get as much attention as if you're getting bit by animals and all that. But I'm in a community too where if any of that, if I get bit by something, I put it on the video and it grows, then the next thing you know, I got a whole pile of people in the community coming after me saying like, dude, why are you doing that? You're showing the animals in a negative light. And then I have to see these people at all the reptile shows. My camera battery is dying. So I think that this is going to be a wrap. It was fun. And I'm going to do this every Sunday. I'm going to do like 9 to 10. So, you want to chat more? come on next Sunday, 9 o'clock, and slowly grow this into more people and more fun. But I have about a 40-minute basics to boas video that I'm working on all day today. So I'll have that up hopefully by the end of the day. And Jostler's Jungle basically has the basics of boas. So I basically decided to do one of those and go over everything I could think of that has to do with boas. So hopefully you'll enjoy that. It was nice talking to you. And now I'm going to go, so toodaloo.